Joining him is also script supervisor Robert Hubbard, videographer Eduardo Delgado, and production designer Kyle Johnson. So please give us any stand up and show your appreciation to them. My fingers crossed that the microphone works, and I'm going to hand it to the coast of the audience. If not, we'll just know that Ben will.
All right. What'd you guys think? Thank you very much. You're a wonderful audience. I kind of think we should only screen it here from now on, just over and over and over again every weekend. We would like very much to answer any questions you have, so I guess raise your hand and we'll point at you. And don't be shy. Yes, right there.
So in that last scene where Tim is giving the thank you speech, older guy next to him, is that supposed to be Marcelo?
Yeah, and yeah, the producers did stuff like that because when the script was written, there was no Something Like Winter. For those that don't know, Something Like Summer is the first book in a series of, it'll be 11 books by the end of the year, and that's the grand finale. And they focus on different characters. We don't draw out the same love story. But for the readers, we wanted to include little Easter eggs. So there was Marcelo in that gallery scene. Tim's mom calls him Gordito. And there's other little nods like that to the books for hardcore fans. Go for it, yeah.
Did you want to include more of Jace having the aneurysm to the end part? There's a lot.
Well, don't spoil it for the people that haven't bought the book. Yeah, because the events play out a little bit different in the book, and it is very difficult with the script to compress everything down. The first draft of the script was very, very close to the book, and it was hard for all of us to decide.
9 hours long?
Yeah, it would have been kind of hoping for a TV series. Is there any agents here? Somebody from Netflix maybe? No? Yeah, but I think they did a good job of combining events, combining characters, and stuff like Ryan's not even in the movie. And every time I watch the movie, I'm like, oh yeah, Ryan should be in this. So read the book if you want to know who Ryan is. Yes?
Is it your hope to highlight any of the other stories from the series in film?
I would love it personally, yeah. And I think it's that age-old wisdom of money talks. So, yeah, if this movie is successful, something like Spring would probably be, that's the 4th book in the series, and it kind of, well, I won't get into it. Yeah, we're hopeful, but there's no news on that front, unfortunately. Yes, sir.
So you've done, well, Ben, over here, you've done some successful web series. Is there any chance that maybe something like Winter or something like Autumn might be a web series that will come out on YouTube or Vimeo?
Oh.
Do you want the mic or you?
I don't think I need the mic. That's an excellent question. That would be fantastic. Unfortunately, I think if they were to make something like Autumn, I'm a little too old to play Jace in high school, so.
Yeah, because Autumn starts, it's Jace's story from when he's a young teenager, and it kind of shows how he became the man that he is.
But I think I'm a huge proponent of web series as a medium of storytelling because it is so accessible to whoever wants to look out and try and find it. It would be a matter of talking to the producers and making it happen.
I think no matter what, we'd all like to see more of Ben Baur, no matter what the project is. No, he's talented. Yes, ma'am.
I have 2 questions.
Go for it.
One, DVD available, and the ending was super subtle, and it's right from the book, and I'm curious about how you made the decision to end it the way that you did.
Well, that was Carlos, the scriptwriter, that adapted it. I'm not really sure what his decision process on the end was. I think the problem with the book's ending is it's very much in Ben's head with his thoughts, because he's thinking, okay, can I move on from Jace? What would Jace think about this? Would he be okay with me moving on with Tim? And there's just a lot going on for him mentally and emotionally that just wouldn't have translated to screen. And I personally, I really like the subtlety of the ending, because while you're waiting for them to touch hands, I'm just like, do it, just do it, go for it. And in terms of DVD and Blu-ray and streaming, that will hopefully be, once we find a distributor, that'll be later in the year. Yes, sir.
Can you talk about the process of choosing the music for the film? Was it complicated getting the rights to those particular songs? Like Regina Spektor's song "Us." How did that work out for you?
Unfortunately, I wasn't very involved with that. I know Tom Lee, who was the guy that wanted to make this book into a movie. He felt very strongly about getting "Killing Me Softly" into the movie, which I can only imagine wasn't cheap. But unfortunately, we don't have any of the musical people here, so I don't have a good answer for that. I'm sorry.
Well, I do know from conversations with Carlos, who was the scriptwriter and one of the producers, that it was pretty complicated, but we had some help from some friends in New York, and it's not a lot of information I have for you, but I know that it was was a tough process.
Thank you. Yes?
I have a question for Ben. So how do you think Jace, the character, would have felt about the...
Oh no. I mean, I think ultimately, with Jace not being able to be around, Jace would want Ben to move on. He would want him to be happy with whoever that would be, even though it happened to be with Tim. Which is, it's fine.
And if you've read the books, what's interesting is Ben Baur really gives Jace kind of an edge. Because, I mean, Jace is very nice in the book, but...
I was savage in that scene.
I love it. I love it.
So savage.
Yes, sir.
How much input as author did you have into the way the film script was developed and compressed as it had to be within the 2 hours? Did you have much input as author? How did you fit in?
Well, Something Like Summer was only the second book that I ever wrote, and I was really trying to come to terms with that writing is a craft. So very early on, they asked me, do you intend to write the screenplay? And I said, I've got my hands full with the book thing. Carlos had done a movie before, Judas Kiss, which I really liked the script for that. So I just trusted him with it. And he trusted me back, which was nice. So every time there was a draft of a script, he would send it to me, and I would read through it, and sometimes I'd have feedback. Sometimes he listened, and sometimes he didn't. And I was okay with both of those things because, you know, I'd given him my trust, and that's just how a relationship like that works. And there was a couple small issues where I felt strongly enough to say, no, this really, from not just my perspective, but I know the readers and the letters I get from the readers, it needs to be this way or it's going to be upsetting for them. And the movie people were wonderful about listening to that and being responsive to that. Yes, sir.
A question, since this is bringing it home to Kansas City. How has, where each of you, the 5 of you that are up there, all being artists, what's the one biggest thing that your hometown has brought to how you create art and how you create your works of art?
I don't have to go first, I suppose. You guys go first. We'll work our way down the line.
Mine has less to do with my hometown and more to do with my family. I was incredibly lucky. My mom was a social worker, so we were always talking about our feelings. My dad and my stepmom were heavily involved in the local community theater, so there was a Baur involved in every production there. Whether we were in it or selling tickets or at the concession stand, we were doing something. So I feel like that combination of things, like when I told them, like, hey, I'm gonna move to LA to be an actor, which is most parents' nightmare, my family was like, yes, go do that, explore. And I just think that sense of freedom that I got has 100% made me, if not fearless, like striving for fearlessness in the stories that I tell and the way that I approach life in general.
What is the hometown?
Oh, I'm from Albany, Oregon, which is a tiny town like an hour south of Portland, where we shot the movie, which was really exciting.
So for me, I grew up in California, in Los Angeles area. And what I like about Los Angeles a lot is just the inclusion.
So there's different races, different sexualities, different everything. So for me, I mean, now I'm working on a gay movie, you know, so I think that's really important, and I kind of incorporate that in my work.
You know, I grew up in, if anybody's from St. Louis, I grew up in West County. It's Whitesville, and there's nothing really exciting happening. And I guess for me, I really felt like I had to make things that inspired me, made things that excite me. So I think I tried to bring that to what I do. And then to piggyback on what Ben said, my mom's a pianist, my dad's an artist, so I always felt like there was a little bit of freedom to express myself. And I think that is something I like to try and pass on too.
To me, I grew up in Cape Girardeau, and I guess I'm a bit of an anomaly because among the people who I knew, I was the only one who was interested in theater, film. I got my foot in the door in San Francisco and came back to the Kansas area mid-90s, and which I thought was a step back, but it actually was very good for me. I met wonderful people here. I worked quite a bit here in Kansas City in the Lawrence area. It was very surprising with the caliber of people that I met here and the caliber of work coming out of here. I actually wound up on this as a fluke because the original person who they worked with wasn't able to work with them, and through various means, I kind of I found out about it and sent them a resume of my work, and I think it was Susan, the line producer, who called me one day, and then JT called me, talked for about an hour, and they said, yeah. And I went out to Portland for the month, so I met these guys. So. And I have to say, this project is easily probably one of the best working experiences that I've had in the 20 years that I've been doing this. So.
And we're thrilled to have him. For me as an author, it's just easier when you're in the flow of a story and characters are doing things to draw on a location that you know intimately. So when I was growing up, I lived in Kansas, born in Kansas, of course, Warrensburg, Missouri, which is where Jace is from. Tim was from Kansas, and we also lived in the Woodlands, Texas, where much of the story is set and where Ben's from. So it's more of a matter of practicality more than anything else. You guys have more questions, or do you really have to pee? All right.
This is a question from Facebook,
okay.
Actually. They want to know how surreal it was to see the characters in your mind come to life in front of you.
Every moment of this is surreal, including right now. Yeah, honestly. But it's been a wonderful ride, and I just feel extremely grateful to everyone that was passionate enough about the story to make it successful, because it also wouldn't have happened without the readers. So thank all of you. Anyone else? Yes.
Do you have like an overarching motivation for your storytelling? Are you just getting out thoughts on a page, or are you going for like a greater goal in what you're writing?
It's very cheap therapy. Like honestly, it's easy in retrospect. You kind of reread the book and you're like, oh, this is the theme. This is the theme of it. But a question I get a lot is like, why'd you have to kill Jace, you bastard? We hate you. And another, yes, my mom's best friend feels that way. Yeah. And I'm going to hear about this later. It's going to be horrible. And the reason I did that is because I put a lot of my husband's personality into Jace, and my worst fear in the world is losing my husband. And so I think I put Ben through the paces to kind of tell myself, you know, if it does happen, you're going to be a wreck, but there might be hope on the other side of this. So I guess I was trying to reassure myself in that way. Yes.
Does that mean that you've got a Tim Wyman that might come forward?
I wish. My husband actually, he's a painter and an artist, and has a rockin' bod, especially when we first met, so I got my Tim Wyman in my own way, yeah. And my Jace, I lucked out. Anyone else? Yes?
Question for Ben. What drew you to the story? How did you get connected?
So I'm 100% honestly, I got a phone call from JT being like, hey, we're making this movie and there's this part that we think you'd be great for. Will you read the script? And so I read the script. I wept like a baby. I read the book. I also wept like a baby, and I was like, yes, please, for the love of God, let me help you make this movie. It was an amazing experience. That's an awesome phone call to get, by the way, is like, hey, there's this part that we think you're right for. Do you want it? I said, yes. Yes, I do.
And oddly enough, it was actually a reader who, it was on Twitter, like they included us both in a tweet, and they're like, dude, you should play Jace in this movie, you'd be perfect. And I kind of click, you get that sometimes, and you click it, and it's some like hulked up dude, and you're like, no. But like, I clicked it, and I'm like, he looks like Jace. And I sent that to the movie people, and they're like, he looks like Jace. And people just kept saying that until I got the job. And plus he's super talented. We saw Hunting Season, which he stars in, and that was, I mean, that did it.
Thanks, guys.
Anyone?
Yes.
Is there any talks of Hunting Season 3?
Unrelated, sorry. Not at the moment, because that is a ridiculously expensive show to shoot in New York City.
New York City, yeah.
For season 2, we did a Kickstarter campaign for $150,000, and we spent all of that on 4 episodes. It was bananas. So, ideally, yes. If anyone has a bucket of money, let me know. I'll take it off your hands.
So we have time for 2 more questions. Yes.
Another one from Facebook.
Off Facebook.
Another one from Facebook. Is there a scene from the book that you missed from the movie that you wished were in the movie?
Oh boy.
What's on the cutting room?
Ben has.
Yeah. Well, it's always hard. Like, there was more character development with Allison and her father. It was a complex relationship. That would have been nice. There was a relationship that Tim has after Ben, and I think it kind of helps explain his actions too. And again, you'd have to read the book. I mean, simple answer, yes, but it would have been nice if we could have had Ryan in it. That would have been really cool. So.
Ben has an
I missed the scene where Jace gets to punch Tim.
It's actually at a water park, and there's swimsuits, and it's steamy and hot. And ebook versions are $2.99. If you can take out your phones now and go to Amazon.com. So, one more question, please. Did you?
He has to ask because I'm here.
Oh, Rustin. Poor boy.
Now that the books are coming to an end, what's next after that? Like, what's your next project?
Oh, I would like to just do something that's not gay romance, just to give myself a little bit of a breather and kind of recharge. I don't think I'm ever going to tire of writing about gay love, because it's just the best job in the world. So I'd like to experiment a little bit. I'm going to be writing with my Patreon supporters, where we kind of co-write a story. So that's going to happen, and I'm really hoping that 1 year from now I'm not like, surprise, I'm writing a 12th book and a 13th book and a 14th book. Because, I mean, Junkie shakes already. So,
Thank you for the 10-year anniversary.
10-year anniversary book 93. So, thank you guys so much again for being here. We're going to be down in the lobby briefly if you'd like to say hello. And
in the downstairs lobby, just so.
yeah, the downstairs lobby. We'd like to thank the Out Here Now Festival for being such wonderful hosts. This is the man that made it happen. Yeah. And if you're hungry, later we're going to be hanging out at Bistro 303, so feel free to join us there too if you would like. Thank you guys. I love you, Kansas City.